Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of our Sports Card Tracker series. In our last episode, we created our brand table maintenance menu. In this episode, we'll create our sports table, variation table, and condition table. So let's get started. For our sports class, condition class, and variation class, I have copied over from the brand name class the foundation of the menus. So let's work on the specifics. We'll start with our sports class. So we're in the process of creating our constructor. As you can see, any of the code that would be duplicated has already been set up for us. So let's start with our stage. Stage, port stage equals new stage. Now we want this to be not resizable. Port stage dot set resizable, given that the value of false. Now we want to set our modality, port stage init modality, and we want to change our modality to location modal. And we want to add our ownership, port stage dot init owner, and we are given that the ownership of primary stage. And finally, we're going to add our border pane, port layout equals new border pane. Import border pane. So we're going to set up our scene. So it's scene port scene equals new scene, and we're given this the sport layout, and we want to set up our width as main dot maintenance width and main dot maintenance height. Now, similar to the brand name, we're going to have the ability to add a sport, and we're going to have our buttons. So our VBox is only going to have 2 rows. VBox VB port equals new VBox, and we'll put a 2 in there. Now we'll add our imports for scene and VBox. And our first row is going to have our label and text field. We're going to call this hbox hb port equals new hbox, and it's only going to have 2 items, so we'll give it the value 2. We'll add our import. Now we want to set up our alignment. So hb port dot set alignment, and we're giving it the alignment of center. We'll create our label LBL sport equals new label, and we're giving this the value of port name we'll add our import for label. Now we want to create our text field. So text field tf port equals new text field. We'll add our import for that. Now we're going to set up our column. We want it to have 32 characters. tf port dot set ref column count, and we'll use main dot column count 32. And finally, we're going to set up our text formatter for this. tf port dot set text formatter and we're going to give it a new text formatter, change, lambda expression. We'll add our import for text formatter. So if change dot get control new text length is greater than main dot field limit of 32, we want to return null. Otherwise, return change. Now we want to add the children to our HP sport. Sport dot get children dot all and LBL sport followed by TF sport. Now in our buttons, under our OK button, we have everything set up except for the query. We're going to make this specific for the sports table. So insert into sports table. And we're only sending the sports name. So we say sports name plus, and we want to send our values. And we need to get our values from our text field. TF sport dot get text, and then we're going to add the end of our query. So at the end, we want to clear our text field. So it's TF sport dot clear, and we want to give it our focus. So it's TF sport dot request focus. And finally, at the end, we want to set up our virtual box. So VB sport dot get children dot add all, and we have our HB sport followed by our HB button box. And we missed at the bottom the H box for buttons. So we'll set that up now. H box HB button box equals new H box, and there's two buttons. So HB button box dot set alignment. We're giving that the alignment of center. And finally, we want to add our buttons to the box. So it's HB button box dot get children dot add all. And we want to add to this our OK button followed by the close button. Now we're going to add this code to our other two classes. So close button. And that fixes the error of missing the HB button box. Now we set the alignment for our VB sport dot set alignment, and we want this to be top center. Now we want to add our VB box to our sport layout. So sport layout dot set center VB sport. Now we finished setting up our stage. So sport stage dot set title, and we're giving it the title of maintenance menu add port. Now we want to add an icon. Port page dot get icons dot add new image /for/resources and /maintenance icon.png. Now we want to add our import. Now we're going to add our scene to our stage. Port stage.set scene. And we're adding sport scene. And finally, we'll show our sport stage. Now we're going to work with our condition class. So first, we want to set up our stage. So stage condition stage equals new stage. And we want it to not be resizable. So condition stage dot set resizable. And we want that to be false. Now we want to set up our modality. So condition stage dot init modality, and our modality is going to be location modal. Now we want to set up our ownership. So condition stage dot init, and we want that to be our primary stage. We'll set up our border pane. So border pane condition layout equals new border pane. We'll add our import. So now we set up our scene, and our scene is going to be called condition scene equals new scene. We're passing this our condition layout, and we want it to be the same size and height as our maintenance. So we'll use main.maintenance width. And for this one, we want it to be a little taller than the others. So main.maintenance large height. We'll add our import. Now we're going to set up our VBox. In this case here, we're going to have 3 rows. So we want our VBox to have the value of 3. So VBox, VB condition equals new VBox 3. We'll set up our import. And now we're going to add an HBox for our first row. HBox HB condition name equals new HBox. And there's only going to be 2 values in this row, so we'll set it to 2. In our first row, we'll add a label LBL condition name equals new label, and we'll give it the value of card condition type. We'll add our import. Now we want a text field, and we're going to call this TF condition name equals new text field. Okay, we'll add our import. Now we want this to have 16 characters. So TF condition name dot set preferred column count, and we want this to be main dot column count 16. And now we're going to set up our text formatter to limit the field to only allow 32 characters to be entered. TF condition name dot set text formatter new text formatter change, and that to a lambda expression. If change dot get control new text dot length is greater than main dot, and we want field limit 32. We want to return null. Otherwise, return the change. We'll add our import for our text formatter. Now we'll add these to our hbox. hb condition name dot get children dot add all lbl condition name followed by tf condition name. Now we want to set up our second row. We're going to call this one hbox hb condition description equals new hbox, and it's only going to have 2 values as well. Now we'll create the label lbl condition description equals new label, and we're giving it the value of condition description. Now we want to create the text field for this. So text field tf condition description equals new text field. So we want to limit how many characters we can see, and we're going to limit it to 32. So it's tf condition description dot set ref column count, and we're going to use main dot column count 32. Now we're going to set up a text formatter to only allow 64 characters to be entered into this field. So tf condition description dot set text formatter. We're going to create a new text formatter change and use the lambda expression. If change dot get control new text dot length is greater than main dot field limit of 64, return null. Otherwise, we want to return change. Now we want to add our label and text field to the HB box. So it's HB condition description get children all, and we're going to add in here our LBL condition description and our TF condition description. Now in our button, we want to set the query. So it's going to be insert into, this one here is going to be the condition table. And we're passing it the condition name and the condition description. So condition name followed by condition description plus we want to add our values. The first one is from tf condition name dot get text. Now we want to put in our separator tf condition description dot get text. And finally, we want to end our query. So we want to change it from sports query. We want to have this to be condition, and we want to change sports query here to condition query. Now we want the text fields to be clear afterwards. So tf condition name dot clear and tf condition description clear. Missed an I here. And we want to give focus back to the condition name. So tf condition name dot request focus. And now we want to add our containers to our VUB. So it's VB condition dot get children dot add all. And we're going to put these in order. We want our condition name first. So HB condition name followed by HB condition description. And finally, HB button box. Now we want to set our alignment. So VB condition dot set alignment, and we're going to use POS dot pop center. And now we're going to add this to our layout. So condition layout dot set center. We're going to use VB condition. Now we'll finish setting up our stage. Condition stage dot set title, and we're going to give it the value of maintenance menu add card condition. Now we're going to give it an icon. So condition stage dot get icons dot add, and we're going to use new image, and the path is com/lore/resources/maintenance icon .png. We'll add our import for image. Now we'll add our scene. So condition stage dot set scene condition scene, and finally we'll show our stage. So condition stage dot show. And finally we'll work on the variation class. So first we're going to set up our stage. Stage variation stage equals new stage. So we want this to not be resizable. So variation stage dot set resizable, and we're going to set that to false. Now we're going to set up our modality. Variation stage dot init modality, and we're setting that to application modal. We want to set up the ownership. Variation stage dot init owner, and we're setting that to the primary stage. Now we want to set up our border pane. Border pane variation layout equals new border pane. We want to add our import for border pane. Now we're going to set up our scene. So scene variation scene equals new scene, and we're going to assign it our variation layout. And we want it to be the same size as our condition layout. Main dot maintenance width and main dot maintenance large height. Now we'll import our scene. Now we're going to have 3 rows, one for our variation name, one for our variation description, and the last for our buttons. So vbox vb variation equals new vbox. We're giving it a value of 3. We'll have to add our import. Now we're going to set up our first row, hbox. And we're giving it the name hb variation name equals new hbox, and it's only going to have 2 values in it. Now we'll create our label. Label lbl variation name equals new label, and we're going to give it the value of variation name. We'll add our import. Now we'll set up the text field. df variation name equals new text field. We'll add our import for text field. Now we'll set up our column count to be 16. tf variation name dot set ref column count, and we use main dot column count. We want to set up a text formatter for this. tf variation name set text formatter new text formatter change. We'll use a lambda expression. Now I'll add my import for text formatter. If change dot get control new text dot length greater than main dot field limit, and for this field limit it's 32. We want to return no. Otherwise, return change. Now we'll add those controls to the container. hb variation name dot get children dot add all lbl variation name and tf variation name. Now we'll set up our second row. There'll be an hbox. We'll call this one hb variation description equals new hbox, and it will have 2 values as well. We'll create our label first. Label variation description equals new label, and we'll give it the value variation description. Now we'll create a text field, and I'll call it tf variation description equals new text field, and we want to set a preferred column count for this. tf variation description dot set ref column count, and we're going to give this main dot column count. We'll use 32. We want to set our text formatter for this, so it's tf variation description dot set text formatter, and we're going to call a new text formatter. And change lambda expression if change dot get control new length is greater than main, and our field width for this is going to be 64. Field limit 64, and return null. Otherwise, return change. And now we're going to add these to our hbox. HB variation description dot get children add all, and we want to add LBL variation description followed by TF variation description. Oh, missed the LBL on variation description. I'll add that now. Now we'll add our query with the OK button. So it will be insert into variation table, and we're passing two variables, variation name followed by variation description. Now we want to add the values of those. We're going to get those from text fields plus df variation name dot get text plus we want to add our separator, apostrophe comma apostrophe. Now we want to add our description, tf variation description dot get text, and we're going to finalize the query, an apostrophe and close bracket. And now after the information has been processed, we want to clear the values for our text fields. So tf variation name dot clear, tf variation description clear. And now we want to give the focus back to variation name. So it's tf variation name dot request focus. And now we want to add all of our containers to our VB. So VB variation dot get children dot add all. We want to add them in order. HB variation name followed by HB variation description followed by our HB button box. Now we want to set our alignment. So VB variation dot set alignment. We want this one to be POS top center. And we want to add our VB box to our variation layout. So variation layout dot set center VB variation. And now we want to add our title, variation stage dot set title. We're given this the title of maintenance menu add variation. And we're going to add the icon variation stage dot get icons dot add new image, and our path is com/bore/resources/maintenance icon png. So we want to add our import for our image. Now we want to set our scene for our stage. The variation stage set scene, and our scene is variation scene. And finally, we want to show our stage. So variation stage show. So before we compile and run the program, we need to add cases to our switch or our menu handler. So case, and we're going to call this one sports table, and we'll call sport my sport equals new sport. We're passing it our stage, our username, followed by our user password. And we'll add a break. Now we'll do the same thing for our condition table. So case condition table condition my condition equals new condition, and we'll pass it our stage, followed by the username and the user password. Then we'll give it a break, and then we'll add the last one, case. And this one will be variation table and variation my variation equals new variation, and we'll pass it stage, username, and the user password. And then we'll add a break. So before we run the program, we're going to show the values of our condition table. We'll view data, and it's blank. Our sports table, view data, and it's blank. And a variation table, view data, and it's blank. We'll go back to our program. We compile it, we run it, we log in, we go to our My Collection, and we go to our sports table. We can add NHL, and let's add MLB. We can close that. Now let's check our database under sports table, view data, and we can now see we have our NHL and our MLB. Let's go into our variation, and we want to add a variation of image variation, and we'll put in here image differs from base card. Okay. Now we come down to our variation table and we view our data. We can see image variation, image differs from base card. And finally, we'll add a condition table. And let's just add gem mint for a 10. And let's just say it's a perfect card. Close. Now we'll go into our condition table. We'll view the data. And you can see gem mint 10, which is a perfect card. So off camera, I'll add all of the values that I want to use in our sports table, our brand table, variation table, and condition table. So that's it for episode 9. Next time, now that we're able to add information to our database, we want to be able to back up and restore our database in case there are issues.